York, and I'm very happy to be at the Paris Peace Tower today. Now, on the subject of governance of cyberspace, let me begin. What should be the starting point of this conversation? And to my mind, there are 5 broad issues there. One, a recognition that digital technologies have been a very real force of economic, social, political, even behavioral transformation. 2, that while it operates in national boundaries, and it's important not to forget that, but it has a borderless nature. 3, that it's a new currency that powers new technologies and their users. 4, that it offers limitless opportunities, but it also exposes us to the uncharted territory of considerable challenges. And finally, while it is very much a force of common good, but it has spaces for both contest and conflict within it. Now, keeping that in mind, how does a large developing country like India look at the digital domain? And I would say today it's really at the heart of technologies that drive our democracy, that drive our development programs. They are really central to the effective and extended governance, and they power our knowledge and innovation economy. Now, a few years ago, we launched what was called the Digital India, which was the world's largest digital technology-driven transformation program. And the idea was really that the digital infrastructure would be available as a utility to all citizens. Now, what we managed to do in the last few years is really, one, create the world's largest biometrics-based digital unique ID program, which covers 1.2 billion people. Provide about the same number of mobile phone connections, 1 billion bank accounts, 500 million internet connections, still growing. And this, between them, have created a matrix that converges with governance and which actually mainstreams all the demographies of a very diverse land. Now, the algorithms are used to actually empower women, to the poor, the farmers, the youth, the unbanked, the marginalized sections of society. And so, as you can see, for us, it's been an extraordinarily effective transformational tool. Now, while we are excited about the opportunities, we are also concerned naturally about the threats from cyberspace, because there are actors, both state and non-state, whose actions present a clear threat to national, regional, and global security. One example of that is the relatively unimpeded growth of terrorism-related activities, including extremist propaganda, terrorist financing, illicit trafficking, and radicalization of cyberspace. So, for that reason, we very strongly support the Christchurch call to eliminate terrorist and violent extremist content online. And we are very pleased to work with like-minded countries in that regard. And I completely share what Mr. Adrian said, that we need to get the balance right between a laissez-faire approach and an authoritarian approach. And the sense of responsibility here is very important. So with that, what should governments and stakeholders really be doing? Now we know that the debate on policy and regulatory intervention in digital space is not new. We also know that there have been several international efforts, including under the UN framework, such as UNGGE, which have done work, but agreement has still been very elusive. So with that, what are really what's the toolkit with which we can advance opportunities and challenges and respond to challenges in cyberspace? And I'd make 5 brief points for your consideration. One, that flowing from the principle of state sovereignty, we need a very clear role for and responsibility for states and governments to strengthen the respective national capacities when it comes to cybersecurity. 2, states must protect data privacy and ensure data security for all citizens. But 3, they must also maintain openness at the same time. And we need for coordinated actions among nations to prevent forces of terrorism and extremism from building their presence in the digital domain. And particularly when it comes to specific cybersecurity threats, it's absolutely vital that countries enter into arrangements for speedy responses to mitigate or neutralize their responses. And finally, 5, given this, we must give space to varied forms of cultural expressions and multiple social narratives. So here's my conclusion, which is that we need to arrive at a global understanding, if not a global regulation, in order that cyberspace remains open, it remains safe, it remains secure, and for that, multilateralism is more essential than ever before. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks. I would now like to turn to Commissioner King for his